Delicious. Didn't think of the bit afterwards. Now, I love coffee, and like many of you lot out there, I live on this stuff, and that's why I'm so grateful to have found ddroasters.com. Now, they've got an array of flavours, and my personal favourite is one called One Night Stand. The reason being, it's got undertones of cherry, toasted nut, and chocolate. Unlike a lot of one night stands, I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Now, a lot of these coffee brands will just send you any old shite out, but this brand is cool because it was founded by my good friend and adult star, Dani Daniels, and she is obsessed with coffee and the quality of her product. The coffee beans are sourced and craft roasted in-house, which means no third-party roasters or manufacturers get their hands on Dani's beans. It's super fresh, and each order is roasted and shipped off to you within 48 hours of your order. Whether it be whole bean, deep grind, espresso grind, French press, Chemex, or pour over, DD Roasters will provide the ultimate coffee for you. So to get your perfect cup of coffee, simply click the link in the description below, make your order, and it will be roasted and shipped off to you within 48 hours. So thanks to DD Roasters for their great coffee and support of the channel, but for now, enjoy the video. Welcome back to the Pain Game YouTube channel. I am joined by my mate Joey Knight, Misfits boxing lightweight and hopefully future champion. All right, mate. We're talking Tyson Fury Usyk, mate. The delay, the injury. What was your first reaction for a start?
Gutted. Absolutely gutted. You know, I was on the phone to you straight away, Sensor. There's no live stream for that then. I was looking forward to that live stream. I was looking forward to it. Although I shouldn't have been, because the last one, oh my God, I wanted the ground to eat me up. Listen, I'm a self-confessed Fury fan. I've watched Fury all the way growing up, followed his whole journey. And it was nervy times during that last fight, but I did believe, especially in hindsight, once we saw the sort of shape that Tyson Fury was in, which for his sort of standards, it looked like he was lighter. It looked like he was probably hoping to move a little bit more and use his feet in this fight. And I think that one thing that we would both agree on, and I think everyone would agree on, was we were going to see a better Tyson Fury in this fight than we saw in his fight against Ngannou.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, it would have been hard to be worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Fury's high standards, that was possibly the worst I've ever seen him look in terms of just, aside from, when he first came back when he was 400 fucking pounds. Yeah. That was pretty bad. But this would have been for me. And look, I'm not taking anything away from Francis, but his physical shape, his stamina, his energy. I've heard from Tom Aspinall when he sparred, Fury, that Fury is so clever at energy management that he can always do 10 rounds just somehow, like no matter how fat he gets, right? Like he's always got that in him. But you couldn't step on the gas, really, not enough anyway. And I think you're going to, there's no way you're beating Usyk without being able to be in tip-top shape. And I think he knew that. So, Francis kind of did him a fucking favour, in my opinion.
I'd massively, massively agree with that. I think with a fighter like Tyson Fury, so much of it is down to the mental side of things. And that's why you see him involved in the past in his career, in the mental warfare and the trash talking side of things. And I think there's more method behind the madness than a lot of people realise with that sort of stuff when it works. And I think
going sort of thing.
Yeah, when it's going for him, which maybe in this build-up we get on to speaking to, it hasn't been as well. But what I do think is when you look at the fact that Tyson Fury is a fighter where the mental side of his game is very, very important, I actually think that in an ironic sort of way, the Francis Ngannou underperformance, if you want to call it that, was a bit of a blessing for Tyson Fury, because I think it was the mental wake-up that he needed to go, right, listen, sharpen up now, sharpen up, take it serious and put absolutely everything into this fight.
Yeah, when I seen the picture came out where he was like, I was in good shape, Usyk was in trouble. I think Usyk's just a bad style from overall. And I think the things that Fury has said about Cunningham and why Cunningham was a problem, I'm like, everything that Cunningham gave you problems with, Usyk's going to give you worse problems with. But that was impressive. I was like, okay, you're actually sorting your head out a bit here and you're going to perform to the best of your ability, which, in the state he was in against Ngannou felt like an impossible thing. And when I seen that he'd cut himself, my first thought was another problem. Like, why is this always, obviously I said he cut himself. He didn't literally fucking take a knife out.
A few people think he did do that.
I believe in the legitimacy of the cut. I believe that a man like him would not have backed out, right? I don't think as much as that, there's so many things about him that frustrate me. I don't think that for the payday he was getting, there is in any way he is backing out because he loves the money, for a start, right? So, and look, he did a 10-week training camp. I did feel for Usyk as well, because Usyk missed the birth of his child. And that is a heck of a moment where you're so dedicated to what you're doing. And for Fury to get injured, you know, if I'm Usyk, I'm like, I'm going to make you fucking pay for that. Like, do you know what I mean? That shouldn't have been for nothing, and it was for nothing at the end of the day.
I think, mate, like, not only did Usyk miss the birth of his child, he missed it in the second phase of the delay of that fight. Because we know that the fight was supposed to be happening
December
last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, Fury's performance against Ngannou put a halt to that and pushed it back once. Usyk's probably sat there thinking, mate, I'm a fighter that thrives on activity. I like to be as active as they come. When he was reigning as the cruiserweight king, he was fighting, you know, 2, sometimes 3 times a year.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And obviously, we saw that how long he stayed in the amateurs for and what he did in the amateurs, and the sort of time between your fights in the amateur tournaments, there's not long in there. So Usyk's a fighter that likes to stay in the gym. He likes to keep himself active. And I think that actually, in a roundabout way, it's not that I think Fury's done this deliberately, but actually that could be something that goes in Tyson Fury's favour, disrupting the pattern of Alexander Usyk.
I don't think it's going to hinder Usyk much. I think Usyk's had a full training camp. He will go away, reset, and he will come again, and I think he'll be fine because ultimately he's not in a fight. He's not taking much damage in the fight, but the sparring will be damaging on the body. So I can only hope that he hasn't suffered too much in sparring. But I think Usyk will be fine. I just think that this gives Fury even more time to get fitter and stronger, and that's where, as an athlete, and it's funny because normally I don't think Fury's a great athlete. It's hard to describe this, but I think he's a gifted one. I think he has gifts. He has advantages over every other man in the height, the reach, the natural stamina that he seems to have, even for a bloke who looks like he shouldn't be able to have any stamina. But I think Usyk is a better athlete. I think Usyk is a monster of an athlete, and he's one who it doesn't matter whether it's raining, sunny. Usyk is consistent. We get the same Usyk week in, week out, year in, year out, and we never see those drop-offs in performances. So I was never worried about him. It's Fury who I think we have to be more, if you're a fan of him as you are, more worried about the dips. And I think that this just gives Fury more time to get fitter and get better prepared. The one interesting thing that we've got is the fact that there's a £10 million fine if someone pulls out next time. Now, looking at that score, looking how bad that cut was, he's going to have to be fucking careful on the run-up to this. He's going to have to make sure it heals perfectly, but also, like, having such bad scar tissue, it could easily reopen again before the next fight. He's going to have to be super fucking careful now, because people aren't going to be like, oh, accidents happen. Like, that's not, you know, the problem. What do you make of that?
Do you know what is funny? I'm just thinking about you mentioning that fine. If I'm Usyk, I'm thinking, why am I getting the fine? If I pull out, it's going to be my first pull out. If he does, it'd be his third. So that's quite ironic in itself. And I think that, look, when you look at the likelihood of that cut reopening, it's a shock to me that it hasn't reopened already. Because when that cut was sustained in the Otto Wallin fight, I was trained by a guy called Ian Jumbo Johnson, and Jumbo is a trainer. He trains boxers, but what he's most well known for is he is the cut man. He was the matchroom cut man for years, and he's worked with a lot of fighters in the past. And he worked with Tyson Fury for a couple of his fights as the cut man. I think he was in the corner for the Sefer Sefri fight. I think he was in the corner for the Pianetta fight, and the Otto Wallin fight he wasn't in the corner for, but many famous cuts he's worked on, and he's an expert in that field. And he said to me after, he said that cut's really concerning, because he said because of the place it's in, the scar tissue that it leaves there. And I don't know if you remember, it was like a double cut. It was one below the eye, one above the eye. It was like a bite or something like that. And the severity of that cut meant that was very likely to open back up. And then when we looked at the following fight of that Otto Wallin fight, which was obviously the Wilder rematch, Wilder didn't really get a chance to land on Fury. But I was always looking at that thinking, oh, okay. And as the fights went on, I'd forgotten about it. I had forgotten about it. But now you're looking at that and you're going, okay, that's there. That's not going to go away now. The scar tissue's going to be there. What I don't agree with from someone that has boxed is I don't agree with the sort of line of thought that a lot of people are going along with at the minute that, oh, Usyk can just target that cut now. it's sort of not how it works.
Not when Fury's so big. It's not like you can just like pinpoint a shot to that very one. Like it's half an inch. You know,
it's very specific. It's very specific. You know, and when you look at, say, for example, right, if a fighter's had their ribs broken, I'm sure you can target the body. If a fighter's got a cut in a specific area. As a boxer, and Usyk's forgot more today than I even know about boxing, but as a boxer, you sort of just hit into an area and hope that it lands in that area. I'm not thinking I want to hit him on the eyebrow or below the eye or on the jaw. I'm aiming into a box and I'm hoping that his head is in that box, right? So I don't think that it benefits Usyk. I think that what it might do is it might scupper a lot of his training, because as well as the scar on the eye, there's going to be some mental scars up here now for Tyson Fury, thinking, right, as the training goes on, as the sparring needs to be stepped up, that cut, it's a freak accident, but it happened with a head guard on. Tyson Fury didn't even used to spar with a head guard.
I know, yeah.
He used to spar without a head guard. Now at least he stuck the head guard on.
Maybe he should have kept the head guard on when he was younger. You know why I say this is because, I don't know if you remember, Francis Ngannou cut him on the forehead.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a great shot. Do you know what I mean? And ironically, we were just talking about my podcast that came out with Joe Egan. And Joe Egan, when he was exactly the same age, I think, as Tyson Fury, he said, I was making my comeback. I was training with this other lad who went to the gym. He cut me open in the exact same place Fury got cut open. Now, I mean, Joe's got a lot of scar tissue on his face, you can tell, but the point is he said, like, that was when I knew Father Time is catching up here and I'm in trouble. And he decided to hang it up at that point. Now, I'm not suggesting that this says that Fury's done, but again, as a boxer, you don't want to be training with this in your mind. You don't want to be sparring guys worrying about getting cuts as you're in there. Like, you don't want to have anything other than just feeling in the moment, right? And I don't know, like, I think that this has bought Fury time and Fury can benefit from this on a cardio level and be better prepared. But I don't know if it helps him in every way. I think that that's a hindrance, that bit.
I think in Tyson Fury's career, very rarely could you find back-to-back underperformances. So I think when you look at his early career, obviously there was the fight with not Martin Rogan, John McDermott. There was the fight with John McDermott, which a lot of people still to this day think Fury lost that fight. And obviously straight away after that, he came back strong, came back well. Later on in his career, Otto Wallin, one of his career best performances. In fact, the Wilder second fight, a lot of people would say was his career best performance. That came off the back of the Otto Wallin fight. So a lot of the time, we're looking at the fight after an underperformance suiting Tyson Fury quite well. And I think because of that, Fury's going to be able to look at this fight and go, right, okay, that could go in my favour. The difference is, Alexander Usyk is not any of the men he fought after those fights. I actually think that Alexander Usyk is a way trickier fight for Tyson Fury than the Deontay Wilder fight. But what I do think is when you look at the Alexander Usyk fight now, and you look at the fact that it's been pushed back, that's going to benefit Fury, I think. The mental warfare is not something that I think is going to go in Fury's favour here, because Alexander Usyk is just so cool, so calm under pressure. Also, you look at, like, it's a masterstroke, really. Who was Tyson Fury arguing with? It wasn't Alexander Usyk.
It was his manager.
It was his manager. Yeah. And if I'm Usyk, I'm thinking, you're earning your money there, mate. Well done. Good stuff.
Fucking right.
You keep going. Because Usyk's just sitting there. Every now and again, he'll mention Usyk's name, Usyk, whatever. He knows what he's doing.
I felt like Usyk was sat there going, and he must be frustrated because this fucker's pulled out twice now. And I'll be honest, it's not a good look for a fighter to pull out twice against another fighter. Like, if I'm Fury, I'm feeling a bit embarrassed by that. Like, and I think Fury can play it off, and these things happen, shit happens. Shit didn't happen against Francis Ngannou, mate. You got fucking embarrassed in that fight. For a man of your quality and experience, that should never have gone the way it did. So, I don't know, like, it feels like Fury is the hunted and Usyk is the hunter. By the way, Usyk tried to make the fight 70-30. I don't want it. Like, I'm not interested. Usyk's not a big name. It feels like for ages, Usyk's been begging Tyson, I want undisputed. Like, he wants all of that, right? And then Fury's been eventually given an offer that's too good to turn down, even though he wasn't that interested in an Usyk fight. And I think he knew Usyk's a tricky fight, but I can't turn this down. It's too much money. Then to delay it twice. Coming into this fight, I do think that Fury has the advantage now in terms of having more time, and I think that's going to benefit his performance. But I still feel like the feel of it is like you can run, but you can't hide. Like you're going to have to get in the ring with us at some point, and it's actually enhanced my interest in the fight. I'll give it that.
It's made the fight bigger, 100%. My worry as someone who would obviously like to see Tyson Fury win this fight, like to see him go on and fight Anthony Joshua.
Did you say that as the plan? Sorry.
I mean, Tyson Fury's come out in the last couple of days and said that he thinks he'll have 2 fights of Usyk, 2 fights of Joshua, and maybe 1 more of Ngannou. Tyson Fury says a lot of things.
Do you know what it is? That what I felt about that? I felt like my credibility's fucking pretty shit right now.
Yeah.
And I've got to give people something. And I never normally give them what they want. I never say the right thing. And he knows what we want to hear. And watching that, I was like, this is what fight fans want to hear from you. Like, if you just said, I'm going to fight everyone you want me to fight, and I'm going to do it in consecutive fights, and I'm here to defend this title, and I'm going to be the champ. I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
Fuck me, yeah. That's what we want to hear, bro. Like, we want to see AJ back to back. We want to see you fighting Ngannou again. We want all this. And just being a fighting champion and fighting the best that's all anyone can ask from you.
Do you know what's funny, right? Especially when fighters' paths cross or were supposed to cross. Sometimes when all's said and done, you can look at the way guys' careers went and you can go, God, that sort of aligned and you sort of had similarities there, and it's funny. Tyson Fury very much painted David Haye as the boy who cried wolf. When they were supposed to fight and they didn't fight, David Haye was the boy who cried wolf here. Yeah. David Haye was the guy that he broke his toe and he cut his eye, and there was multiple pullouts from fights and things like that happening. And then as Tyson Fury's career has actually gone on, you're seeing a lot of these sort of accusations thrown at Tyson Fury now. Yeah. What I do think is when Tyson Fury has come up against people thinking he was going to lose, against like people almost turning their back on him at times in certain fights, that's when we've seen a real career best performance out of Tyson Fury. No one thought he was beating Klitschko. Not leastly the bookmakers. I think he was an 8-1 underdog in that fight with Klitschko. He goes to Dusseldorf, he pulls up the upset. I think everyone feels like the Deontay Wilder fight was just too soon back. He had fought Sefer, he had fought Pianetta, but he hadn't looked great in either of them fights. Too early, too soon. He goes in there, upsets the odds, and for my money, beats Deontay Wilder over 12 rounds. The problem is with those 2 fights, as great as both of those fighters were, Klitschko probably being the better out of the 2 of them, both men had mental fragilities. Klitschko was rattled in those press conferences. Not rattled in the same way as Wilder. He's not shouting bomb squad. He's not shouting through the roof. But you can read a room. You can read a man's body language. That's sauna shit
and all of the mind games.
Yeah.
It was having an impact on him for sure.
And you know what? That's the thing I miss about Tyson Fury. I miss that so much. Like when Tyson Fury brought up that sauna story with Klitschko, he had him. We were looking at it and I was like, he's got you. He's up here. He's got you. And you're looking at Klitschko. It's like the robot malfunctioning mentally, right? The same with Deontay Wilder. There was so many. When he's saying, I'm going, come on, let's have a body spar. And Wilder's thinking, this bloke being serious. Like, what's going on here? And you can see they're a little bit rattled. At the moment, he can sit in a press conference. He can shout at Usyk. He can do whatever he wants. Usyk's just staying so calm. And he's not getting that side of him. And I think that that's the thing that Tyson Fury is going to struggle with, because I think that when Tyson Fury fights guys like Tom Schwartz, he'll give him a cuddle. Sefer, he'll pick him up at the weigh-in. Against these guys, he wants to zone in and he wants a bit of spite there. And I think Usyk's playing a clever game, not giving Tyson Fury that. So I think that that's one thing that will go against him in this fight.
And I agree with everything you said about the old days of Tyson. Like, that was when I was a fan of him, and I was a huge fan, in fact. Like, and it would be nice if he could turn things around before his career's over in the eyes of the people. And I like I said in one of my recent videos, if he goes out like a champion and fights all of these guys, he will get all the respect again. It's the misdirection and the constant avoidance and the belittling of people, like the fans, like, you know, lying to them over and over again. That's been the problem. If you set your stall up and go, I'm going to fight these 2 guys, I'm going to fight Usyk back to back, AJ back to back, and go and do it, we won't care if you lose. We'll appreciate you for giving us what we want. And I'm still favouring Usyk, but what I will say is the added time and the way Fury was looking, I'm like, okay, if you look like this now, because for me, when I seen him like Ngannou, I'm like, there's not enough time.
Do you know, it's
now
funny,
there's
isn't it?
enough time.
You spoke to Tom Aspinall and you got a completely conflicting report of what I got. So I spoke to someone I won't name, and sounds like it'd be a bit wishy-washy, this story, but he has been in the Fury camp before. And he told me that Fury hadn't had that long to prepare for the Ngannou fight. Now, whether that was Fury's own fault not preparing for it or not, so there was sort of conflicting reports around that. And I'm not saying either's right or wrong, but it gives me a little bit of uncertainty. Now we know, I spoke about inactivity, right, hindering Usyk. Inactivity hinders Tyson Fury. And I think that when you've come off the back of the Ngannou fight, I think that in a roundabout way, you know, the world does work in mysterious ways, and maybe that might be the best thing that ever happened to his preparation for this fight. But what I do want to seeing Tyson Fury at the moment, he's back in Morecambe, he's doing the school runs, he's putting the bins out. Get back to Saudi. Get out there, get away from the distraction, get your sparring partners back out there, get on your fitness, be doing your running, and make sure you're fully zoned in.
That's his only hope, mate. If he fucks around eating fish and chips in Morecambe, and
it's not going to happen.
It ain't gonna. He's gonna just go back to square one.
But I think he understands that. I think the one thing we've got to remember here is, although the words that come out of Tyson Fury's mouth have maybe to some people lost weight as the years have gone by, the performances are still there. And when you look at heavyweights, right, that can talk, Jarrell Miller, he can talk a good game, but we don't put him in that top level because the performances don't match up to it in the ring. And the form book would tell us, although we can speak and dissect the Dillian Whyte fight, the Derek Chisora fight, and say maybe his legs have looked a little bit slower lately, at the end of the day, the big fights that Tyson Fury has been in, he has performed well in, and he has won most of them. So what I would say is, when you look at that, if Tyson Fury's not to win this fight, and if Tyson Fury's not to perform to the best of his ability in this fight, either one of two things have happened. Tyson Fury's over the hill, or Alexander Usyk is unlike any heavyweight we have ever seen before in this current generation of heavyweights. So either of those two things could happen. But I do think the underlying thing here as well, when we speak about the money also, if Tyson Fury wasn't to win this fight, Saudis still want to see him against AJ, you know.
Fucking right they do.
So there's every incentivization for Tyson Fury to get your head down, to train hard, to keep going, because you're going for legacy and you want to beat
If
Usyk.
AJ beats Ngannou and Usyk beats Fury, I don't give a fuck about Usyk versus AJ again. Right? Personally, I've seen it twice. It was identical both times. Two different trainers. It didn't matter. And look, AJ has looked better lately, but I'd much rather, even if Usyk beats Fury, say Fury AJ after that. Because then it's like, right, you've both lost against Usyk. Let's see who the best of the rest is. And let's see who the king of the UK is. And put a fucking big British belt on the line or whatever, you know what I mean? We'll wrap it up there. That was a great chat with my mate, Joey Knight. Don't forget, if you want to listen to more of Joey's boxing opinions, I'll put the link to his channel in the description below. But for now, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.